The Texas sun was burning hot that Tuesday morning in July. Maria Jackson was driving her old pickup truck down Highway 87, heading back from her job cleaning offices in the city. Her 3 kids were in the back seat: 8-year-old Jamal, 6-year-old Kaisha, and little 4-year-old Marcus. "Mama, I'm hungry," Marcus said softly from his car seat. "I know, baby," Maria said, trying to keep her voice cheerful. "We'll eat when we get home." But Maria knew there wasn't much food at home. After paying rent and bills, she had only $12 left until next Friday's paycheck. That had to buy food for 4 people for the whole week. Maria was 28 years old, but life had already been harder on her than it should be on anyone. Her husband David had died 2 years ago in a factory accident. Since then, she had been raising their 3 children all by herself, working 3 different cleaning jobs just to keep a roof over their heads. Their little house was falling apart. The roof leaked when it rained. The heater didn't work in winter. But it was home, and Maria made sure her children always felt loved, even when they went to bed hungry. "Look, Mama," Kaisha pointed out the window. "There's a man lying by the road." Maria looked where her daughter was pointing. Sure enough, about 50 yards ahead, there was a man lying face down next to a fancy silver car that had crashed into a ditch. Smoke was coming from the engine. "Is he sleeping, Mama?" little Marcus asked. "I don't think so, baby," Maria said, pulling over to the side of the road. "Stay in the truck, kids. Don't get out no matter what." Maria got out of her truck and ran toward the crashed car. As she got closer, she could see that the man was unconscious and bleeding from his head. He was wearing an expensive-looking suit, now torn and dirty. His fancy watch caught the sunlight. "Mister," Maria called out. "Can you hear me?" The man didn't respond. Maria knelt down beside him and gently turned him over. He was white, maybe in his 40s, with graying hair. His breathing was shallow and weak. Maria pulled out her old cell phone and dialed 911. But there was no signal out here on this lonely stretch of highway. The nearest hospital was 30 miles away in any direction. "Mama," Jamal called from the truck, "is the man okay?" "I don't know yet, son," Maria called back. She looked at the injured man again. Blood was still flowing from the cut on his head, and his face was getting pale. If she didn't do something fast, he might die right here on the side of the road. Maria made a decision that would change all their lives forever. "Kids," Maria called to her children, "I need you to help me. This man is hurt real bad, and we need to get him to the hospital." "But Mama," Jamal said, "our truck is already old and slow. If we put him in there, what if it breaks down?" Maria looked at her beat-up pickup truck, then at the dying man, then back at her children. She knew Jamal was right. Their truck barely made it to town and back on a good day. Adding extra weight and making an emergency trip could break it down completely. Without the truck, Maria couldn't get to her jobs. Without jobs, they would lose their home. But as she looked at the man's pale face, she heard her late husband David's voice in her memory. "Maria, baby, we might not have much money, but we got something more valuable. We got good hearts. Don't ever let this world make your heart cold." Sometimes, Maria said to her children, doing the right thing is scary. But we do it anyway because it's right. She and Jamal carefully lifted the unconscious man and got him into the back of the pickup truck. Kaisha gave him her favorite blanket to keep him warm. Little Marcus held his hand and talked to him softly. "Don't worry, mister," Marcus said. "My mama is the best. She'd take care of you." Maria drove faster than she had ever driven before, praying the whole way that the truck would hold together and that the man would stay alive. 25 minutes later, she screeched into the emergency room parking lot of Henderson County Hospital. "Help!" she yelled as she ran into the hospital. "There's a man dying in my truck." The doctors and nurses rushed out with a stretcher. As they wheeled the man into the emergency room, one of the nurses asked Maria, "Are you family?" "No," Maria said. "I just found him on the road." "Well, thank God you did," the nurse said. Another few minutes and he would have been gone. Maria and her children sat in the hospital waiting room for 3 hours. The kids were getting restless and hungry, but Maria didn't have money to buy them food from the hospital cafeteria. "I'm sorry, babies," she whispered to them. "As soon as the doctors tell us the man is okay, we'll go home and I'll make you something to eat." "It's okay, Mama," Kaisha said, hugging her mother. "We're not that hungry." But Maria could hear little Marcus's stomach growling. Finally, a doctor came out to talk to her. Dr. Williams was a kind-looking older woman with gentle eyes. "The man you brought in is going to be okay," Dr. Williams said. "He had a serious concussion and lost a lot of blood, but you got him here just in time. You saved his life." Maria felt tears of relief in her eyes. "Thank God." "He's awake now, Doctor," Williams continued. "He's been asking to see the woman who saved him. Would you like to talk to him?" Maria nodded. She told her children to stay in the waiting room and followed the doctor down the hall. The man was lying in a hospital bed, his head wrapped in white bandages. When he saw Maria, his eyes filled with tears. "You saved my life," he said in a hoarse voice. "I don't even know your name." "I'm Maria Jackson," she said softly. "How are you feeling?" "Like I got hit by a truck," he said with a weak smile. "But I'm alive, and that's because of you." He paused and looked at her carefully. "I need to ask you something, Maria. Why did you stop?" "Most people would have just driven by." Maria thought for a moment. "Because you needed help. That's what people do. We help each other." The man stared at her in amazement. "What people do?" "Lady, I've been living in this world for 43 years, and I can count on one hand the number of people who would have done what you did." "Well," Maria said simply, "maybe you've been around the wrong people." "I haven't introduced myself properly," the man said. "My name is William Harrison, Bill Harrison." The name sounded familiar to Maria, but she couldn't place it. "I own a technology company," Bill continued. "Harrison Tech. Maybe you've heard of it?" Maria's eyes went wide. Even she had heard of Harrison Tech. It was one of the biggest companies in America. She had seen their commercials on TV. Bill Harrison was worth billions of dollars. "You single quotes re ... You're that Bill Harrison?" She stammered. "I am," Bill said. "And I want you to know that what you did today ... I've never experienced anything like it. You risked everything to save a complete stranger." "I didn't risk everything," Maria said. "I just did what was right. You risked your truck breaking down. You used your gas money. You spent your whole day here." Bill's voice was getting stronger. "And you have kids with you. Most mothers wouldn't put their children at risk to save a stranger." Maria was quiet for a moment. "My children need to see that their mama does the right thing, even when it's hard. Especially when it's hard." Bill Harrison had never heard anyone talk like this before. In his world of business and money, people only helped others when they got something back. But this woman had helped him expecting nothing in return. "Maria," he said, "I want to do something for you, to thank you." "That's not necessary," Maria said quickly. "I didn't help you so you would give me something. I know you didn't. That's exactly why I want to help you." Bill looked at her worn clothes and tired eyes. "Tell me about your life, Maria. What do you do for work?" Maria didn't want to tell this rich man about her struggles, but something in his eyes made her feel safe. "I clean offices," she said. 3 different jobs. I work at the bank downtown, the law firm on Main Street, and the insurance company by the mall." 3 jobs? Bill asked. "That must be hard." "I do what I have to do," Maria said. "My husband died 2 years ago, and it's just me and the kids now." Bill felt his heart breaking as he listened. "What happened to your husband?" "Factory accident. David was working double shifts to save money for the kids' college funds." Maria's voice got quiet. The factory said it wasn't their fault. We didn't get much from the insurance, just enough to bury him. So you've been raising 3 children alone, working 3 jobs for 2 years? Yes, sir. And today, even with all your struggles, you stopped to save my life. Maria looked confused. Of course I did. What does my struggles have to do with helping someone who needs help? Bill Harrison had been rich his whole life. He had grown up wealthy, built his company into a billion-dollar empire, and lived in a world where everything had a price. But he had never met anyone like Maria Jackson. Can I meet your children? He asked. They're in the waiting room, Maria said, but I should probably get them home soon. It's getting late, and they haven't eaten since this morning. They haven't eaten since this morning? Bill asked, alarmed. It's okay, Maria said quickly. We'll eat when we get home. But Bill could see the truth in her eyes. There wasn't much food at home either. Maria brought her 3 children into Bill's hospital room. They were shy at first, but Marcus, the youngest, walked right up to the bed. Are you feeling better, mister? Marcus asked with big, concerned eyes. Much better, thanks to your mama, Bill said. What's your name? I'm Marcus. I'm 4 years old. This is Kaisha, and that's Jamal. Jamal's the oldest. It's nice to meet all of you, Bill said. He looked at Kaisha, who was holding a stuffed rabbit that was missing one ear. Is that your bunny? Yes, sir. His name is Hopscotch. I gave you my blanket to keep you warm, but I kept Hopscotch with me. You gave me your blanket? Mama says, when someone is hurt, we share what we have, Kaisha explained. Bill looked at Jamal, the 8-year-old, who seemed more serious than his younger siblings. Jamal, what do you want to be when you grow up? A doctor, Jamal said immediately, like the ones who helped you today. I want to help people who are sick. That's a wonderful dream, Bill said. Do you like school? I love school, Jamal sighed, his eyes lighting up. But sometimes I can't do my homework because our lights get turned off when Mama can't pay the electric bill, and I can't always buy the books we need. Maria looked embarrassed. Jamal. It's okay, Mama, Jamal said. The nice man asked. Bill felt tears forming in his eyes. These children were living in poverty, but they were still kind, smart, and full of dreams. Tell me more about school, Bill said to all 3 children. I like to read, Kaisha said. But we don't have many books at home. Sometimes I go to the library, but it's far away, and Mama doesn't always have gas for the truck. I like math, Marcus added, even though he was only 4. Jamal teaches me numbers. Bill Harrison had everything money could buy, but he had never had children of his own. He had been too busy building his company to start a family. Looking at these 3 beautiful, smart kids, he felt like he was seeing what really mattered for the first time in his life, after Maria and her children left the hospital that evening. Bill Harrison couldn't stop thinking about them. He used his laptop to research Maria Jackson online. What he found broke his heart. Maria's husband David had indeed died in a factory accident. The factory had been cutting safety corners to save money. David and 2 other men had been killed when a machine malfunctioned. The factory had paid minimal compensation to the families and faced no real consequences. Bill dug deeper. He found records showing that Maria was 3 months behind on her rent. Her electricity had been shut off twice this year. She had outstanding medical bills from when Marcus had gotten sick with pneumonia last winter. But he also found something else. Maria volunteered at the local food bank every Saturday, even though she could barely feed her own children. She had organized a neighborhood cleanup day. She tutored other kids for free at the community center. This woman, who had almost nothing, spent her free time helping others. Bill made a decision that night. He was going to change the Jackson family's life, but he was going to do it the right way. He wasn't just going to throw money at them. He was going to give them opportunities to build a better future. 3 days later, Maria was cleaning the law office downtown when the receptionist told her she had a visitor. Who could be visiting? Me at work? Maria wondered as she walked to the front desk. It was Bill Harrison, looking much better than he had in the hospital. He was wearing a nice suit and carrying a briefcase. "Bill," Maria said, surprised. "You're looking so much better. What are you doing here?" "I wanted to talk to you," Bill said. "Is there somewhere private we can chat?" The law firm let them use a conference room. Bill sat across from Maria at the big table. "Maria, I've been thinking about what you did for me every day since it happened," he began. "And I've been thinking about your children. They're good kids," Maria said. "They're incredible kids. And you're an incredible mother." Bill leaned forward. "I want to offer you something, but I want you to know it's not charity. It's an opportunity." Maria looked suspicious. "What kind of opportunity?" "I want to offer you a job at my company. A real job with good pay and benefits. Health insurance for you and the kids. A steady schedule so you can spend more time with them." Maria stared at him. "What kind of job?" "I don't know anything about technology." "You don't need to. I'm talking about facilities management. You already know how to clean and maintain buildings. My company has a huge campus that needs someone to oversee all the cleaning and maintenance crews. It would be a supervisory position." "Supervisory?" Maria's voice was barely a whisper. "I don't have any experience supervising people. You're raising 3 children by yourself while working 3 jobs. Trust me, you know how to manage people and get things done." Bill smiled. "The salary would be $60,000 a year to start." Maria almost fell out of her chair. She had never made more than $20,000 in a year in her entire life. 60,000? She stammered. "Plus health insurance, dental, vision, and a retirement plan. And there's more." "More?" "I want to set up college funds for your children," Bill continued. "Full scholarships to any university they want to attend." Maria started crying. I can't accept all this. It's too much." "Maria, let me tell you something," Bill said gently. "I've been rich my whole life. I've had everything money can buy. But I've never been happy. Not really happy. And do you know why?" Maria shook her head, still crying. "Because I never learned what you already know. That the most important thing in life is helping other people. That family matters more than money. That doing the right thing matters more than doing the easy thing." Bill reached across the table and took Maria's hand. "You saved my life, yes. But more than that, you showed me what kind of person I want to be. You and your children reminded me what really matters. So please let me do this. Not because you saved my life, but because you showed me how to live." Maria was crying too hard to speak for several minutes. Finally, she looked up at Bill. "Are you sure?" she whispered. "I've never been more sure of anything in my life." "What about the kids? Where would we live?" "They've never lived anywhere but our little house. That's up to you," Bill said. "You could move closer to my company. There are great schools in that area. Or you could stay where you are and commute. Whatever makes your family happiest." Maria thought about her children. Jamal could get the books he needed. Kaisha could have a library full of stories to read. Marcus could grow up without worrying about whether the lights would be on or if there would be food for dinner. "Okay," she said finally. "Yes, we'll do it." 6 months later, Maria Jackson's life looked completely different. She had moved her family to a beautiful house near Bill's company headquarters. It wasn't a mansion, but it was a real home with a yard where the kids could play, reliable electricity, and heat that worked in the winter. Maria loved her new job. She managed a team of 30 people who cleaned and maintained the Harrison Tech campus. Her workers respected her because she had been where they were. She never asked anyone to do something she wouldn't do herself. But the biggest change was in the children. Jamal was excelling in his new school. His teachers said he was gifted in science and math. He still wanted to be a doctor, and now it seemed possible. Kaisha had discovered she loved to write stories. Her new school had a wonderful library, and she checked out 5 books every week. She was already talking about becoming an author. Little Marcus, now 5, was reading at a 2nd grade level. He was curious about everything and asked a million questions every day. Every Sunday, the Jackson family had dinner with Bill Harrison. He had become like an uncle to the children and a dear friend to Maria. "You know what's funny?" Maria said to Bill one Sunday as they watched the kids play in the backyard. "What's that?" "I spent 2 years thinking God had forgotten about us. After David died, I thought we were alone in the world. But it turns out, God was just waiting for the right moment to send us an angel." "If anyone's an angel, it's you," Bill said. "You saved my life, Maria, not just from that car crash. You saved me from a life without meaning. And you saved us too," Maria replied. "But you know what the best part is? Tell me, it's not the money or the house or even the job. The best part is watching my kids dream big dreams, because now they believe those dreams can come true." As the months went by, both Bill and Maria realized that helping each other had changed them both in ways they never expected. They decided they wanted to help other families too. Together, they started the Second Chances Foundation. The foundation helped single mothers get job training, education, and good jobs. It provided college scholarships for kids from low-income families. It also funded safety improvements at factories and construction sites to prevent accidents like the one that killed David. Maria became the foundation's director. She understood the struggles these families were facing because she had lived them herself. "When you've been where they are," she told Bill, "you know what kind of help really makes a difference." The first family they helped was Rosa Martinez, a single mother of 2 who had been cleaning offices for minimum wage. They got her trained as a medical assistant, and within a year, she was making enough money to move her kids to a better neighborhood. The second family was James Washington, whose wife had died of cancer, leaving him to raise 4 children alone. They helped him get his electrician's license and start his own business. One by one, they changed lives. And every time they helped a family, Bill and Maria felt their own lives become richer and more meaningful. 2 years after the car accident that brought them together, Bill Harrison got a phone call that changed everything. "Mr. Harrison," his secretary said, "there's a man here to see you. He says his name is David Jackson." Bill's heart stopped. David Jackson was Maria's dead husband. "Send him in," Bill said, his voice shaking. A young man walked into Bill's office. He looked just like Jamal, but older. "Mr. Harrison," the young man said, "my name is David Jackson Jr., but everyone calls me DJ." Bill stared at him in confusion. "DJ, I'm Maria's stepson," DJ explained. "My father David had me when he was 17, before he met Maria. I've been in the army for the past 3 years. I just got back from overseas. Maria never mentioned." "She doesn't know I exist," DJ said quietly. "My dad and I had a fight when I was 18. I left home angry and joined the army without telling anyone where I was going. I wanted to prove I could make it on my own." DJ sat down across from Bill's desk. "But when I heard what you did for Maria and my little brothers and sister, I realized how stupid I've been. I've missed 2 years of their lives because I was too proud to apologize. What do you want me to do?" Bill asked gently. "I want to surprise them," DJ said. "But I want to make sure it's a good surprise. I want to show them that I've changed, that I'm not the angry kid who left." Bill smiled. "What did you do in the army?" "I'm a medic," DJ said proudly. "I saved lives, just like Maria saved yours." "It runs in the family," Bill said. Bill and DJ planned the surprise carefully. They decided to do it at the next Sunday dinner. Maria was in the kitchen making her famous fried chicken when the doorbell rang. "I'll get it," Jamal called out, running to the door. When he opened it, he saw a young man in an army uniform standing on the porch. "Can I help you?" Jamal asked politely. "Is Maria Jackson here?" the young man asked. "Mama," Jamal called. "There's a soldier here to see you." Maria came to the door, wiping her hands on her apron. When she saw DJ, her face went white. "DJ?" she whispered. "Hi, Maria," DJ said, his voice shaking with emotion. "Oh my God." "DJ." Maria threw her arms around him and started crying. "Where have you been? We looked everywhere for you. I thought something terrible had happened to you." "I'm sorry," DJ cried. "I'm so sorry I left. I'm sorry I missed Dad's funeral. I'm sorry I wasn't here when you needed me." Kaisha and Marcus came running to see what all the excitement was about. They had been too young when DJ left to really remember him, but Jamal remembered his older stepbrother clearly. "DJ!" Jamal yelled, joining the family hug. "You came back." Bill watched from the doorway with tears in his eyes. He had thought he was just arranging a surprise. He hadn't realized he was witnessing a miracle. That evening, after the kids had gone to bed, DJ, Maria, and Bill sat in the living room and talked for hours. DJ told them about his time in the Army. He had served as a medic in Afghanistan, saving wounded soldiers under dangerous conditions. He had grown up, learned responsibility, and discovered that his real family was the most important thing in his life. "I heard about what happened to Dad through a buddy whose family still lived here," DJ said. "And I heard about how you've been struggling, Maria. I wanted to come home, but I was too ashamed. I felt like I had abandoned you when you needed me most." "You were just a kid," Maria said gently. "Kids make mistakes. What matters is that you're here now." "I also heard about what Mr. Harrison did for you," DJ continued, looking at Bill. "How he gave you a job and helped the kids. How you started the foundation together." "Your stepmother saved my life," Bill said simply. "Everything else just followed from that." "That's what I mean," DJ said. "That's exactly what Maria would do. She's always been the kind of person who helps others, even when she doesn't have much to give." DJ reached into his bag and pulled out an envelope. "I've been saving my army pay for 2 years," he said, handing the envelope to Maria. "I want to give this to the foundation. To help other families like ours." Maria opened the envelope. Inside was a check for $25,000. "DJ, this is probably everything you've saved," Maria said. "Not everything," DJ smiled. "But most of it, and it feels good to give it. You taught me that, Maria. You and Dad both. You taught me that the best way to honor the people we love is to help other people." DJ decided to stay in their town and use his medical training to become a paramedic. Bill helped him get enrolled in the local community college to finish his NT certification. "It's perfect," Maria said proudly. "DJ will be saving lives, just like his father would have wanted." The Jackson family was whole again, but they were also bigger than before. DJ brought with him stories of the world, experiences of helping others, and a maturity that came from serving his country. He moved into the house with Maria and the kids. Jamal looked up to his big brother more than ever. Kaisha loved having someone new to tell her stories to. And Marcus, who barely remembered DJ, quickly bonded with him. But more than that, DJ brought something that Maria hadn't even realized was missing: another adult to share the responsibility of raising the children. "I missed so much," DJ said to Maria one evening as they watched the kids do homework at the kitchen table. "But I promise you, I'm not going anywhere again. This family is my life." "This family is complete now," Maria replied, squeezing his hand. A year later, something wonderful happened that none of them had expected. Bill Harrison fell in love. He met Dr. Sarah Chun at a foundation event. She was a pediatrician who volunteered her time to help low-income families get medical care for their children. Like Bill, she had been so focused on her career that she had never taken time for a personal life. But when they met, they both realized they had found something special. "I want you all to be in my wedding," Bill told the Jackson family one Sunday. "You're not just my friends. You're my family," Maria cried happy tears. "Of course we'll be there." "Actually," Bill said, "I was hoping DJ would be my best man and Jamal could be a groomsman. And Maria, would you walk me down the aisle? You saved my life and showed me how to live. It seems right that you should be the one to walk me into this new chapter." It was the most beautiful wedding anyone had ever seen. Not because of the fancy decorations or expensive flowers, but because it was a celebration of how love can grow in the most unexpected places. When the preacher asked if anyone objected to the marriage, little Marcus stood up in his seat. "I object," he called out in his 4-year-old voice. Everyone gasped until Marcus continued, "I object to calling him Mr. Harrison anymore. He should be Uncle Bill now." The whole church erupted in laughter and tears. Even Uncle Bill was crying as he picked up Marcus and hugged him tight. 5 years after that day on Highway 87, the Second Chances Foundation had helped over 300 families. They had built a new community center, funded scholarships for 50 college students, and lobbied for safety improvements at factories across Texas. But the most amazing change was in Bill Harrison himself. The man who had once cared only about money and success now spent most of his time thinking about how to help others. He still ran his technology company, but he had restructured it to share profits with all the employees. He had created the best benefits package in the industry, and he had opened a free after-school program at his company for employees' children. "You know," Bill said to Maria one day as they watched kids play in the new community center playground, "I used to think success meant having more money than other people. Now I think success means helping other people have better lives." "David would be proud of both of us," Maria said. "He always said that the measure of a person isn't what they accomplish for themselves, but what they make possible for others." Maria had also grown in ways she never expected. She had gone back to school and earned her bachelor's degree in business administration. She was now the full-time CEO of the Second Chances Foundation, and she was good at it, really good. "I never thought I was smart enough for college," she told Bill. "I thought that was for other people." "You were always smart enough," Bill replied. "You just needed someone to believe in you and give you the opportunity." On the 5th anniversary of the day Maria saved Bill's life, something special happened. Jamal, now 13, had been selected as the top science student in his school. He had been invited to present his research project at the state science fair. His project was about emergency medicine and how quick action can save lives in car accidents. "I got the idea from the day my mom saved Uncle Bill's life," Jamal explained to the judges. "I wanted to understand what happens to the body during trauma and how regular people can help before paramedics arrive." Jamal won first place in the state competition. But more importantly, his project was going to be used to create a new first aid curriculum for high schools across Texas. At the awards ceremony, Jamal was asked to give a speech. "5 years ago," he said into the microphone, "my family had almost nothing. My mom worked 3 jobs just to keep food on our table. We went to bed hungry sometimes. Our lights got turned off when we couldn't pay the electric bill." The audience was silent, listening intently. "But my mom taught me something important. She taught me that it doesn't matter how little you have. What matters is how much you care about other people. The day she saved Uncle Bill's life, she risked everything. We had to help a stranger. And that one act of kindness changed all our lives." Jamal looked out at the crowd, finding Maria's proud face. "Now I want to be a doctor so I can save lives like my mom did. And like my big brother DJ does as a paramedic. And I want other kids To know that where you start in life doesn't have to be where you finish. One person caring about another person can change everything. The entire auditorium stood up and applauded. Maria was crying. Bill was crying. Even DJ was crying. But they were tears of joy, tears of pride, tears of gratitude for how much their lives had changed. 10 years after the accident, Maria's children had grown into remarkable young adults. DJ had become the head paramedic for the county. He had saved dozens of lives and was known for his calm competence in emergency situations. He had also gotten married to a wonderful woman named Ashley, and they had given Maria her first grandchild. Jamal was in his second year at medical school on full scholarship. He was at the top of his class and planned to specialize in emergency medicine. He spent his summers working with the Second Chances Foundation, mentoring other kids from low income families. Keisha, now 16, had written and published her first book of short stories. All the proceeds went to literacy programs for underprivileged children. She was being recruited by several prestigious colleges for early admission. Marcus, at 14, had discovered he had a gift for mathematics and computer programming. Bill had started mentoring him personally, and Marcus was already creating apps to help students with learning disabilities. "Look at them," Maria said to Bill one evening as they watched the kids at a foundation fundraising event. "Look how they turned out." "They turned out exactly like their mother," Bill replied. "Smart, caring, and determined to make the world better." "No," Maria said softly. "They turned out like their whole family. Like DJ, who serves others. Like you, who uses his success to lift others up. Like Sarah, who heals children." They had good examples all around them. On a warm Tuesday morning in July, 15 years after that first meeting on Highway 87, Maria and Bill were driving together to visit a new family that the foundation was going to help. As they passed the spot where Bill's accident had happened, he asked Maria to pull over. They stood by the side of the road, looking at the place where their lives had intersected and changed forever. "Do you ever wonder what would have happened if you had just driven by that day?" Bill asked. "Every once in a while," Maria admitted. "But then I remember something my grandmother used to say." "What's that?" "She used to say that God puts people in our path for a reason. Sometimes we're supposed to help them. Sometimes they're supposed to help us. And sometimes, if we're really blessed, we get to help each other." Bill smiled. "Your grandmother was a wise woman." "She was. And she would have loved seeing how our families turned out." They stood there in comfortable silence for a few minutes, both thinking about the journey that had brought them to this point. "You know what I learned from all this?" Bill said finally. "What?" "I learned that the richest person in the world isn't the one with the most money. It's the one with the most love in their life. And thanks to you, Maria Jackson, I'm the richest man who ever lived." Maria hugged her dear friend. "And thanks to you, Bill Harrison, my children got to grow up believing that dreams really can come true." As they drove away from that spot on Highway 87, both of them knew that their story was far from over. There were more families to help, more lives to change, more love to share. But they also knew the most important truth of all. Sometimes the best thing that can happen to you is the chance to help someone else. And sometimes, when you save someone's life, they end up saving yours right back. 20 years after Maria Jackson pulled over on Highway 87 to save a dying stranger, she sat in the graduation audience at Harvard Medical School, watching her son Jamal receive his diploma as a doctor. Sitting next to her were Bill and Sarah Harrison, DJ, and his wife Ashley with their 3 children. Kaisisha, now a best-selling author and literacy advocate. And Marcus, now a successful software engineer who created educational apps for underprivileged children. Closing parenthesis dot. As Dr. Jamal Jackson walked across the stage, the entire Harrison Jackson family stood up and cheered. After the ceremony, a reporter approached the family. Dr. Jackson, the reporter said to Jamal, you've mentioned that your family story inspired your career in medicine. Can you tell us about that? Jamal smiled and looked at his mother and Uncle Bill. 20 years ago, my mother made a choice. He said, she saw someone who needed help, and she helped them, even though it was risky and she had very little to give. That choice changed our entire family's life. But more than that, Jamal continued, it taught me that the most powerful force in the world is one person caring about another person. That's what medicine is really about. That's what life is really about. The reporter turned to Maria. Mrs. Jackson, what would you say to people who think they're too poor or too struggling to help others? Maria thought for a moment, then smiled. I'd say that helping others isn't about how much money you have or how big your house is. It's about how big your heart is. And anybody can have a big heart, no matter what their circumstances are. She looked at Bill, who nodded encouragingly. The day I saved Bill's life, I had $12 to my name and a truck that barely ran. But I had something more valuable than money. I had the choice to do what was right. And that choice led to more blessings than I ever could have imagined. What's the most important lesson you've learned? The reporter asked Bill. That the best investment you can make isn't in stocks or real estate, Bill replied. It's in people. When you invest in people, when you believe in them and give them opportunities, the returns are beyond anything you can measure in dollars. As the family walked away together, little voices could be heard from DJ's children asking their grandmother, Maria, to tell them again about the day she saved Uncle Bill. Well, Maria began, as she had hundreds of times before. It all started on a hot Tuesday morning when we were driving home from town. And as she told the story once again, everyone listened as if they were hearing it for the first time. Because, no matter how many times they heard it, the story never got old. It was the story of how one moment of kindness created a lifetime of love. It was the story of how one family's tragedy became another family's miracle. It was the story of how sometimes the people we save end up saving us right back. And most importantly, it was the story of how love always finds a way to multiply when we're brave enough to share it. Sometimes the most important thing you can do is stop and help someone by the side of the road. Because you never know, that person might just change your life forever. This story is dedicated to everyone who believes that kindness is never wasted, that one person can make a difference, and that the best families are sometimes the ones we choose for ourselves.